In this video, we're going to analyze some infinite limits using graphs. Here we're asked to analyze the given limits given the graph of f. Let's take a look at the first one. The limit as x approaches 1 from the left of f of x. Well, the first thing that I noticed when I look at the graph of our function, when x equals 1, we have a vertical asymptote. And anytime I see vertical asymptotes, I have to think, as my graph approaches that x value from the left or from the right, the limit does not exist. But I will be able to describe this limit as positive infinity or negative infinity, depending on which way my graph tends as it approaches the vertical asymptote. As we approach x equals 1 from the left, where is our graph headed? Yeah, it's headed in the positive infinity direction. So the limit as x approaches 1 from the left of f of x can be described as headed to positive infinity, even though we know that it technically does not exist. How would we describe the limit of f of x as x approaches 1 from the right? As we approach x equals 1 from the right, our graph is tending to infinity as well. So that means the limit as x approaches 1 from the right technically does not exist, but we describe it as approaching infinity. Now that we've analyzed the limit as we approach x equals 1 from the left and from the right, let's talk about the overall limit as x approaches 1. Because our graph tends to positive infinity as we approach from the left and the right, then the left-sided limit and the right-sided limit agree, and that means that the overall limit is infinity as well. Now again, this can't be overstated. Technically, the limit as x approaches 1 of f of x does not exist, but because the left and right-sided limits both are approaching infinity, and because they agree, then the overall limit as x approaches 1, we say approaches infinity as well. Let's take a look at this graph, and let's analyze the limit as x approaches negative 3 from the left. As we approach negative 3 from the left, we notice that we're approaching a vertical asymptote. Where is the graph of our function tending towards as we approach negative 3 from the left? It's tending to positive infinity. So we would describe this limit as approaching positive infinity. What about the limit of the function as we approach negative 3 from the right? As we approach the left vertical asymptote at negative 3 from the right, our function is tending down, which means it's approaching negative infinity. Given this information, what can be said about the overall limit of the function as x approaches negative 3? Well, as we approach negative 3 from the left, we found that our limit tended toward infinity. As we approach negative 3 from the right, we found that our limit tended towards negative infinity. Therefore, the left-sided limit and the right-sided limit do not agree. And when limits do not agree from the left and from the right, we know that our limit does not exist.